The other issue raised in the report is the need for further resources to deliver the savings, some of which were approved this year and haven't been delivered, but also to look at savings proposals going forward as part of the suite of savings we need to make in regards to next year's budget. So there's a request there that the £1 million available from the transformation programme be used to get more delivery on these savings, because I think I've raised here before is the level of savings options being delivered has reduced over the last couple of years, and in setting budgets going forward we need to be sure that the savings, if approved, can be delivered. That £1 million will require approval of Council to use Council reserves. For the £1 million here is to give fuller reassurance. Talking to colleagues in service areas, they say they haven't got the project management skill and certain skills that they need to get the savings options more deliverable and more plans around that. And basically this is give us a resource so that if members agree to these savings proposals in February, that we've got more plans that are probably more robust than what we had before, and that we'll be able to see if the saving is approved, what actions need to be taken rather than coming from a cold start, and hopefully any issues are addressed in the lead up to the budget being approved in February rather than afterwards.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Convener. Can I say that I welcome the proposal at 1.1.2 to consider the use of £1 million of the Workforce Transformation Fund, whatever it's called, to look at ways of delivering savings proposals.
Thanks for that. Councillor Corbett next.
Thanks. I think as a number of people have probably said, there's an element of déjà vu about the report, and the new thing is the recommendation that we allocate £1 million to change management process. I want to try and connect those two things. I think maybe pick up both on what Councillor White said, which I think is a common frustration about signing off at budget stage proposals that seem entirely plausible. They wouldn't be signed off if they weren't entirely plausible, but actually when we come to really implement them, they fall short. And my understanding of one of the main purposes of that £1 million is to employ project managers who will actually make sure that we're preparing robust business cases. And if that is the case, then how can we ensure that that is actually what's happening? That we're getting both those robust business cases, which I guess we'll get at budget time, but also that we're achieving the savings that that investment is justified, in terms of it's justified.
I was concerned by your comments, Mr Dunn, that perhaps last year staff didn't have the requisite project management skills to deliver these savings. And building on what Councillor Corbett said about having confidence that they can be delivered this year, we're being asked to spend £1 million to bring in external consultants. If we do approve that, would they be able to come in on time to make those project management changes in the coming year so that we're not in this situation next year?
Councillor Johnson, I'll answer that. It's definitely not consultants, just to be clear. It's council staff, albeit likely on fixed-term contracts with the requisite skills.
If these individuals are going to be council staff on fixed-term contracts for a year, why are we involving a recruiter? Why are we not just going through a traditional recruitment exercise of advertising ourselves, or whichever way we do it? What was the role of the third party then?
So I think on balance, like many organisations who use recruitment consultants, and obviously we have a contract in place for that, it increases speed to use their networks to get the right people with the right skills as quickly as possible.
Because actually, project managers seems quite generic, and I think in terms of what we need to deliver for the savings, some of it will require not just project management, but actually some kind of background specialist knowledge. I'm thinking about in terms of health and social care, homelessness, some of the big issues, actually having that background information is quite important. Otherwise, it will be probably quite a slow start for people. So I'm interested to know, we've got a sort of very broad proposal of £1 million, hire some project managers. What's the thinking in terms of, and it's kind of been raised about projects that are already there, projects that we think might be coming, thinking about what skills people would need, the timeframes for them coming in. I mean, I wouldn't like us to just go and hire £1 million worth of project managers without knowing what skills they need. So I think for us, and I understand this will be going to full council as well, I think it would be helpful for us to have that kind of more detail about how it will work, and also how those project managers will be working within the departments, if they'll be embedded, that kind of level of detail.
Okay, thanks. Convener, I didn't want to hog at the start, but I did want to come in on this change strategy aspect, and I get the explanations we've had. I suppose underlying my concerns on this is what is it we're actually expecting to implement? What's the implementation timescale? When will benefits be realisable? And is that over a 2, 3, 4 year period? My difficulty with all of this is that I've had a look through what's been circulated around the change strategy, as it's being called, and it's some very broad overall outlines. There's no indication of any projects that are part of it in the consultation document. And I'm not seeing what the delivery is, what the target of that is, and there isn't really within it, other than a general discussion around, well, we'll try to be more preventative and forward-looking. There isn't really a vision of what the public will see as a change and how they will interact with the council through it, and I think that for me is missing. So how do we go from where we are to get to that? And while I'm asking that, I'll just remind the convener that Councillor Hutchinson's alternative budget had £500,000 in to do this kind of work. And we expected a lot more by this stage, because the convener at budget time promised us that officers were working away on a detailed change strategy to look at 2, 3, 4 years ahead. And I suppose my disappointment is we don't have anything to get our teeth into. We're starting the budget process for next year, but that doesn't give us confidence about the £100-odd million that we're supposedly having to save over a longer term period. So how do we pull that confidence back?